And now we have another model up for review. It's a Volvo S60 from 2022. It's got about 44,000 kilometers on the clock, and the configuration is B5 with all-wheel drive. As I said, we have the S60 today for review. It's the B5 configuration. It's a mild hybrid vehicle with a 2-liter engine, 4-cylinder, and something like 250 horsepower. And the torque figure is around 350. Being a mild hybrid, it does mean that it also has a small electric motor. That one develops something like 14 horsepower and 40 Newton meters of torque. So yeah, the overall performance, at least on paper, it's something like 6.5 seconds from 0 to 100, and the top speed is limited to 180, like all Volvos past 2020. But the interesting fact about the car, it's actually the weight of the car. Being a 2-liter petrol engine, but with mild hybrid and seriously, I'm sorry for the sound. If you're interested in buying some cabbage here in Romania, you can buy it from the road, because why not? As I was saying, the weight of the car is the interesting part. Being a 2-liter petrol engine, you wouldn't expect it to be quite so hefty, especially as it's not a big car, not even here in Romania. It's something like a medium-sized sedan. But considering the fact that it is all-wheel drive, it is with an torque converter automatic gearbox from ICE with 8 gears, and it is a mild hybrid, the weight it's something around 1.8 to 1.9 tons. Huge, I think. For the luggage space, being a sedan, even though it's a medium-sized sedan, I think it's more than enough. As you can see, our small carry-on luggage fits quite alright in here. I think you can squeeze about 5 of them in total. And we do have some nets, some hooks here, and also a couple of them like this one, which are really useful actually. An odd place here on the left side, it's more useful the one from the right. It's got some nets, and underneath the boot floor there's additional space. I don't know, maybe you can squeeze here a small spare tire. Let's check out the back seats. Now you have to keep in mind that Volvo, it's actually a premium manufacturer, so it is to be expected that we have some soft materials up here and even softer down here. We have an interesting design for the door handle, the command for the automatic window, a couple of speakers, and some pockets, some storage spaces. They're not covered, but at least the material is a bit soft even down here. Other than that, inside the car we have some nets on the back of the front seats, an additional storage space here because we don't have a separate climate unit, but we do have heated seats in the back, and a couple of USB-Cs. Also some light fixtures in the ceiling and a central armrest with a couple of places for your drinks. This is the space here in the back. Again, I had to change the angle of the camera because we have a baby seat, so I didn't want to bother the owner to take it out of the car. But as you can see, with the front seat in line with the B-pillar of the car, I had more than a palm of space for my knees, and I do the same here on my head. Actually, more like 3 to 4 fingers. So yeah, it's pretty spacious back here. I do have some vents here on the B-pillar and the heated seats, but I have the same complaint with almost any other car. The seats are a bit too shallow, too low compared with my knees. Even if I stretch my foot under the front chair, it's the same. The position is almost the same. I have nearly no support, no under thigh support. Oh well, you can have them all. Now the space in front, the door card, obviously it's pretty similar in terms of materials. We do have memory function for the seats here, and the possibility of locking and unlocking the doors from the inside. The speaker grill, at least the one from the top side, it's some sort of aluminum, some sort of a metal. Other than that, the same pockets, a bit bigger. So yeah, it's alright. And the seats themselves are in typical Volvo fashion, quite comfortable, but in the same time a bit sporty, if I may say so. Not so pronounced like those from Eggline configurations, but even so, they are good enough. You have lots of controls here. Even this part, you can control it using this small lever here, and you can extend it, and it does also have a lumbar support. Let's check out the space. More than enough, even with the seat in line with the B-pillar of the car. I'm more than comfortable here. You do have something of a yeah, it is kind of soft material here. You can rest your knee against it, and the glove box is covered and quite deep actually. Finally, let's check out the driver's side. The door card is pretty similar with the one from the right side of the car, except that we have additional commands for windows and the outside mirrors. As is the seat, is identical with the one from the passenger side. We have some controls for the interior lights and the command of the trunk opening. Now let's have a seat inside. And actually, let me start the car as well. Yeah, it's an interesting position. You do have this steering wheel design that Volvo used to do from a couple of years, no, maybe a couple of years before 2020 actually, with this stitching in front. And we have physical buttons on the steering wheel from the for the cruise control on the left side, and the multimedia on the right side. They are piano black, but at least they're not capacitive, they're physical, so that's a good thing. The usual stocks from Volvo, and the gauge cluster, it's all digital, not so configurable, but at least you can put the map in there. Going to the center of the car, we have mirrorless, mirror there, that's without without frame, frameless, that's the word I was looking for, and also the commands for SOS and on call, the sunroof command, and those from for the interior lighting. On the center console we have a touch screen. Not a fan actually, because also the climate control is in the touchscreen, but that's pretty much the way cars are made these days. That's how my car is made actually, so what can you do? You also have some physical controls for the multimedia underneath the screen, for hazard lights, and for defrosting front and back. Other than that, we have the gear selector, which is I think made of crystal or something like that. There's actually some branding embedded in it, with the park at a separate button, and this is actually the knob that you twist to start and stop the engine. We have the parking brake and the auto hold function over here. Quite a lot of piano black, and you do touch quite often this area, so I don't know, again, not a fan. I think that this material actually scratches as I look at it, so yeah. Other than that we have some additional storage spaces with a couple of cup holders that are adjustable, a 12-volt outlet, and underneath the armrest some USB ports. Welcome to the driving part of the review. It's actually quite a nice car right from the bat, like the first impressions. Being a petrol engine, obviously it helps. I'm sorry for the rough patch, but nothing I can do about it. As I said, the engine is quite nice. At lower speeds, city speeds, you barely feel it, even though it's mounted from the left to the right side of the car. It's not in line with the car. You don't feel any vibrations. You don't really hear the engine running. If you have some music, you could say that you're driving an electric car. Also the gearbox, I think it helps, because it's a torque converter, so it manages to blend the gears and to help you pull away smoothly. So yeah, actually I quite like it. The controls feel nice, the pedals are nice. Well, not at first. The first time I used the brake pedal, I felt it a bit grabby, but after, I don't know, a couple of uses, I got used to it, and I could modulate the braking force without any issues. So again, quite a nice feeling. The steering wheel, easy to operate, easy to turn. It's the whole package actually, because the suspension as well does a really good job of dealing with bumps and imperfections. It's not like a air suspension, but close enough to say so. I think the tires are helping, because we have 18-inch wheels on this model, and a healthy amount of rubber on them. And also the seats are quite comfortable, and again, they're helping with the feeling of the bumps. So in terms of the noise insulation, it's actually quite a pleasant surprise. Not in the way that I was expecting, some poorer level of insulation. Not by a long shot. Come on, it's a premium manufacturer, it's a premium car, so not in that regard. But the fact that it's so well insulated while having one pane of glass, one single sheet of glass on the outside windows. So yeah, maybe it has something to do with the design, the way it slips through the air, being a sedan, not an SUV. But even so, again, it adds to the whole package of a comfortable cruiser. Maybe you'll be able to enjoy some bends, some twisty roads, especially with this model that has the Haldex system, the all-wheel drive system. You can really put the power down, but I'm not sure that's the main purpose of this vehicle. It lacks a bit of power. It would have been nice to have at least 300 brake horsepower, but it is what it is. And also, being so comfortable, I'm not really tempted. I mean, sticking to around 80 to 90 kilometers per hour, it's marvelous. So yeah, as I said, impressive. We'll see about higher speeds when we get to the highway in a moment. But until now, I'm quite pleased with the car. The noise of the engine when you really rev it, if I switch the driving mode to dynamic, is alright, it's not pleasing. It's a 4-cylinder. Dare I say it, I heard some sort of a more pleasant engine sound from some models from the Volkswagen group. But even so, being quite well insulated, at least in the lower part of the car, you do hear the noise from the engine when you rev it, but it's somewhere in the distance, which again is surprising, given that it's a medium-sized sedan. So now that we're on the highway, let's hear the noise levels at 90, which is now. I don't feel the engine, I barely feel some wind noise, which again is a nice surprise, and the tiny bit of tire noise. Let's see at 110, which is now. The wind noise is picking up, but that's pretty much it. Let's go to 130. Again, now I can mainly hear the wind noise from the mirrors, from the outside mirrors, but not in a bad way. I mean, if I listen to some music, it wouldn't be a problem. I'm sure of it. And once more, I'm surprised about the insulation in the lower half of the body. You barely hear the tires, and even at this speed, I'm impressed by the suspension. It's comfortable, it's compliant, even though we now have some bigger bumps, because this is supposed to be a highway, but as you can probably tell from the movement of the camera, the road surface actually is quite rough. But even so, the suspension does a nice job of maintaining the car even at highway speeds. Now let's talk about the maintenance for a bit. Being a petrol engine doesn't require so much attention like a diesel would, but if you use the car outside the city, mainly outside the city, I think you can do the regular oil change at around 15,000 kilometers without sweating. But if you run the car inside the city, and you might be tempted to do so because it's a petrol engine and the gearbox is a torque converter, so no real issues there, then I would suggest lowering the intervals between oil changes, especially if you run the car in stop-and-go traffic where the engine cuts out and starts very often. It's known already that some of hybrids might have some problems with oil dilution because of the frequent start-stops, especially if you're only driving on a little distance, something like that. Potholes, okay. Then you could encounter some of those problems, not like a regular hybrid. And again, some potholes, great. But even so, being a mild hybrid, it could happen. So maybe you should lower the interval to around 12,000 kilometers. Other than that, in terms of the engine, you're merely looking at some spark plugs at around 50 to 60,000 kilometers. And yeah, that's pretty much it. But you do have to keep in mind that this model, at least, it does have all-wheel drive, and it's a Haldex-based system. So again, it requires some maintenance at around 50 to 60,000 kilometers. And also, the gearbox might benefit from maintenance, even though you don't have to be a saint like with dual clutch systems, where you have to maintain the gearbox at around 50 to 60,000 kilometers. Here you could at least do it at around 80, I don't know, maybe 100,000 kilometers at worst. but you will be better off with one or, I don't know, couple of oil changes for the lifetime of the car, rather than have problems with it and invest in repairs. Now I switched the car to dynamic, and we are gonna start at around 10 kilometers per hour, and we'll do a sprint to 90. That was it. And that was it in terms of the good tarmac as well. We have some other bumps here. Okay. Yeah, so the engine does pull, and no, actually, you feel the back wheels, like, for a moment, you feel them pushing you, actually, especially here in the corners. But I would prefer some additional power just for peace of mind. If you use the gearbox in manual mode and you keep the RPMs between 2000 and roughly to around 5000, you're there, you're in the power band, so it manages. But after 5000 to around 6000 and a half, not really sure. It seems that it's running out of breath. Yeah, all right. Let's go back to comfort. So that was the maintenance part. I could add some brakes and tires, because after all it's quite a heavy car, and you can drive it like a sports car, but for me at least, more often I would enjoy driving it slowly and comfortably. That's gonna be it for the maintenance aspect. Now let's talk about the problems, because the owner did encounter one problem with the car in its lifetime, and it had something to do with the sunroof. There's a shade that you can control electronically, and it got stuck on the open position. It was retracted, and the owner couldn't cover the sunroof anymore. But being under warranty, it went to the shop and got fixed without any costs. That's pretty much it. It's quite a new car with a low mileage, so I wasn't expecting anything serious to go wrong with it. And as I said, if you are maintaining the car more often than the manufacturer suggests or recommends, you will be able to enjoy this kind of calm driving and comfortable driving for a long time. I want to mention some quirks of the car. The infotainment system, you need to get used to it. It requires more clicks than usual to, I don't know, change the driving mode or something like that. And also, if you want to adjust the individual settings for the driving mode, you have to go into the settings, some other menu, some other clicks, and it's a bit of a faff. And other than that, there's something weird with the gear selector, meaning that to go from drive to reverse, you have to do a double tap, because firstly it goes to neutral and then it selects the right gear. But other than that, there's really not much to dislike, to hate about this car. It's quite a pleasant surprise for me, and I'm glad that I've got to review it. Also, I want to mention something else. Even though it's a mild hybrid, you can connect your phone to it using an app, and you can start the engine remotely, meaning that you can start the climate control in the summer as well as during the winter. So again, that's something interesting. Thank you for watching. If you want to interact with me, you can do it by the comment section or the social medias. Until next time, see ya.